So finally, this thing is working the way I want it to. All right, so what's going on, family? It's Divine Prospect, Kingdom Harmony Ministry. Shabbat Shalom to those who keep the Sabbath during this time. Thank you all for joining in. This is a late night session. This is the Earth Day edition, right? So, to those of you who may not be aware, my Earth Day, and what some people colloquially call your birthday, is June 8th, right? So technically we've transitioned into that Yom. But the Freestyle Fridays is typically late at night. So anything before 6 a.m., before the sun comes out, is considered a Freestyle Friday. Anything after that is a set apart Saturday, all right? So I figured I'd do this this late night live stream. It's probably not going to get a lot of people tuning in because it is late, right? It's after 1:30. But those who are tuning in, let's rock. Let's rock. All right, we're going to rock it out. All right, so y'all hit 1 if the audio and video is working. You hit 1 if the audio and video is working properly. If everything's in sync, if everything is clear, hit 1. Right, because I'm still using my my Razer Siren X broadcaster mic and my Logitech Brio 4K Pro webcam. All right, so y'all hit 1 to confirm that everything is working fine. Let me go back and check. I know I'm still on. Let's see. Let's take a look. Go to settings, and it should be audio. Yep, so we straight. All right, so I was able to restore the chat on screen. I think I found out what's going on. Somebody said there's an echo delay. So I was able to. That's not good. Hold on. Let me take a look. I might have to kill this session again. I think I know how to fix it. Just give me a second. Let's see. Hold on. Take a look. I might have to kill this session again. I think I know how to fix it. This should be built in. All right, let me do this. All right. All right, let me know, is that delay echo gone? Let me know if the delay echo is gone. Hit 1, the delay echo is gone and everything is sounding like it's supposed to. All right. All right, let me know, is that delay echo gone? Should be good, but I need y'all to confirm real quick. Echo is gone and everything is sounding like it's supposed to. All right, hit 1 if everything is good money. Should be good, but I need y'all to confirm real quick. Let me check. Let me just see. All right, hit 1 if everything is good money. Y'all can hear me? Let me know if y'all can hear me clearly. I think this is already on default. Let me disable this real quick. Y'all can hear me? There we go. Let me know if y'all can hear me clearly. So the echo is still there. Hit 1 if the echo is still there. Shouldn't be no echo. All right, hit 1 if the echo is still there. Let me see. Echo is still there. Shouldn't be no echo. Okay, so 1 means everything is good, all right? So y'all don't hear no echo or nothing, right? Let me know so we can move past that. Somebody hit 2. Bakar, why you hit 2? I don't even know what 2 is. What's 2? Did I miss something? Oh, you meant 1. Okay, no doubt. All right, so let me give some shout out. Shout out to Bakar, the Israelite in the building. Raymond Scott, Ivri Yisrael Ali, Yehudi, Hebrew, Israelite Judah, J. Lockhart 25, Cheryl, Hebrew Assassin, Sam Bone, the Most High Child, Who else? I think that's everybody. Again, hit 1 if the audio and video is on point. Hit 1 if the audio and video is on point. Hit 1 if the audio and video is on point. You said there's a 5-second delay. Is that delay between the audio and the video? Let me know. Y'all let me know, because if I have to cancel the session and go back, let me know. Y'all hitting 1 meaning everything sounds good. Shout out to 617. Let's get it.
That's fine.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So I think that means everything is good. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So before we get started with this session, somebody said it's gone. That's great. Thank you. All right. So I got triple witnesses that everything's going okay. That's good. Before we get started, what I want to say is that those of you who do honor the Earth Day of those, or birthday of those, or people say the Sun Revolution, however you want to call that, solar return, you know what I'm saying? It's another word, popular phrase that people use for that. But if anybody is interested in doing anything for me, I prefer you to do it for the ministry. You have your donation links that's up here at the top that you can see. Should be at the top right. Top right. All right. So there's different ways that you can donate to the ministry. And you know, we'll do what we got to do with that information. You know, whether it's a donation, or if you're trying to reach us, the email address should be in a description. Now, I know some people, I haven't gotten around to your emails. I think last week I went through almost 100 emails. That took a long time. But I'm getting through them in the order that they've been received. So don't think that I have not, that I purposely ignored your email or something like that. So just work with me and we'll get to it, and make sure that we do what we got to do. Also, for those who are awaiting their certificates, I'm trying to get a brand new honorary membership certificate for those who are newly wanting to sign on to KHM. And the introductory letter is done, but I want to get the certificate out the way as well, so I can send you guys the package, so we can onboard y'all as well. So I know there's about 12 people that's waiting to be onboarded for KHM. So I appreciate your patience and your persistency and consistency to get acknowledged and want to join the organization, so we can get this work out and we can you know, revolutionize the community. All right. So a couple of things I'm gonna address today. You know, some things are orthodox, I'll be talking here. Some things are slightly unorthodox. Let me unplug this real quick. This might even have a battery in it. I'm gonna be surprised. So anyway, shout out to Foolish World 75 in the building, Lee Brew in the building. All right, if y'all enjoying this, definitely y'all hit that 1. Hit that 1. If you're enjoying everything so far, hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video everywhere. You know how we do. Again, we don't have a lot of people in here because it's kind of late. And that's okay. Those of you who are tuning in, I mean, you're the ones who normally rock out at this time anyway. And these sessions, you know, benefited those who join in. And, you know, most of the time I leave the video up so people can chime in with get some information who have missed the live stream, not because they purposely wanted to miss the live stream, simply because the timing might be not aligned with their schedule. And I respect that. All right. So right now, what I want to share to you guys, an alternative to something that I normally take. So I don't know if y'all can see this, but if y'all can see this on the screen, see Spring Valley Organic Greens, Fruits, and Vegetables Dietary Supplement, natural berry flavor, plant-based wellness, no soy, MSG, or dairy. It's USDA organic, non-GMO verified. All right. So this is the alternative to my Amazing Grass green mix. And this is just so that you can get, you know, all your greens, fruits, vegetables in a shot. All right, just in case you're missing any of these things in your diet, and a lot of things that's in here is very important. Now, the reason why I got this is because it was just convenient, right? This I don't normally get this brand, but this brand is pretty good. I mean, you can get this is $15 from Walmart, $15 from Walmart. All right, and this right here, it gives you your carrot root powder, your broccoli head powder, your cauliflower bulb powder, your spinach leaf powder, your parsley and leaf powder, your organic collard greens leaf powder, barley greens is in here, spirulina algae is in here, apple fruit is in here, gum arabic tree gum powder, flaxseed is in here, acerola is in here, strawberries in here. You have tomato fruit in here, cassia bark in here, green tea leaf in here, kelp in here, cranberry in here, raspberry in here, your schisandra fruit powder in here, stevia leaf extract is in here, chlorella cracked cell wall powder is in here. You get your broccoli stem and floret powders in here, broccoli sprout seed powder, tomato fruit powder, collards leaf powder. You get beet root powder, wheatgrass powder, alfalfa powder. And then another thing that made me really want to get it is the probiotic blend, more particularly Lactobacillus rhamnosus. So if anybody's been following me teaching health on this channel or just in general, you know that that one is extremely important for those people who have eczema, right? And the purpose of the Lactobacillus rhamnosus is pretty much to transition the T cells, and 70% of the T cells line the gastrointestinal tract, to go from a T0 T cell to a T1 or T2. And it ensures that the proper T cell activation occurs, so that way you don't have a reaction when the body encounters an allergen, right, or an antigen, right? So I try to find, you know, if I'm getting something like this, to make sure that probiotic is in it, because to me that's one of the best probiotics, and I've spoken about this in my eczema lecture as well. I'll go more into detail. And this also has milk thistle seed extract, all right? So I wanted to show y'all this. Shout out to Mr. Black Culture in the building. Carla Sphere, shalom, shalom to you as well. Shabbat shalom. So I'm just giving this to y'all, so those of you who want an inexpensive way to access all your greens, fruits, and vegetables for the day. All right, this gives you about 20 servings, which means it should help you for about 20 days, and it's only $15, and you can get it from Walmart, right? So that's that. So I want to make sure I pointed that out to y'all, because that's a great way for you guys to catch up in regards to your health. Because most people don't eat a lot of those items, you know, day to day. Also, you can get you some Irish moss. Irish moss is extremely good as well, and it has a full spectrum of vitamins and minerals. So typically with this powder, I mixed it in with some kind of juice. In this case, I have some grape juice. I have it mixed in with the grape juice. And that's what that is doing there. Now, I discovered this snack maybe about a year ago. Maybe a little more than that. And to be honest, you know, I don't really eat a lot of chips like that anymore. But this right here is the truth, okay? This is better than any potato chip that I've ever had in my life, okay? You know, once in a while, I do eat Miss Vicky's, because I do like that brand. That's really the only potato chip brand that I will eat. But this right here, I eat this more than any other chips that I eat. I try to keep a bag with me when I'm working, keep a bag at home. I gotta really re-up, actually. This also can be found at Walmart. All right, it's called Off the Eating Path, right? This is a chickpea veggie crisp. It has rice, chickpeas, peas, and black beans, and it's made with real purple sweet potatoes. Again, this is non-GMO, project verified, no artificial preservatives or flavors, made with real veggies, blah, blah, blah. If you look on the back, the ingredients is rice flour, chickpea flour, dried green peas, sunflower oil, dried black beans, dried purple sweet potato, cane sugar, sea salt, calcium lactate, salt, vegetable juice, and mixed tocopherols, all right? And your tocopherols is your antioxidants, all right? This thing is delicious. That's all I got to say. So I'm giving y'all this, so a lot of times people may be like, oh, you know, I don't really know how to transition in eating healthy, you know, when it comes to chips. You know, I mean, this is the things that people eat that they may still like as far as snacks, me as well. But when it comes to transition, it's the things that are healthy and trying to transition your diet more to a more healthier diet as much as possible. It's good to kind of consider what the alternatives is that's out there. And I'm telling you, this chip right here, this chip is the truth. I'm not going to eat too much right now because I got to re-up. I'm probably going to have to wait till the sun goes down to do that tomorrow. But nevertheless, this is the truth. All right? So, I want to give you a heads up on that. All right. So, let me go ahead and share this link. Share this link. We're going to get busy. Just want to give you a couple of health nuggets right there.
Need a sponsor.
Yeah, I know, right?
Need a hashtag.
Well, I don't know, given the content, if they'll be willing to do that. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, so I'm gonna share this on my page real quick. All right. All right, hold on, family. Give me a second. Okay, just sharing this link real quick. Just in case there's any stragglers that want to join in, that are still awake and trying to look for some quality content. Because there's a lot of garbage on the internet today and in the YouTube airwaves. Okay. All right. That should do it for now. All right. So, shalom to G Deb in the building. Shalom to Yashab Awam in the building. Shalom to Dwayne Muscat in the building as well. Avery, I'll look into that. See what's up. All right. Shout out to my brother Shema in the building. Rodney Frederick in the building. Judah Cypher was good. All right. So again, y'all be sure to share this link. All right, to anybody who may be awake and they're looking for quality content to get involved in. All right. So shout out to Levon Jones in the building. How you doing, sis? Sign of the Times TV HQ. Shalom, my brother, as well. So G Deb says Q&A. Please explain Revelation. That is super generic, right? When you say please explain Revelation, I'm assuming you're referring to the book of Revelations in the Bible, which is the least attested New Testament manuscript, which means that out of all the books of the New Testament, that one has the least amount of manuscript evidence for, right? Which means it was not that popular and it was not copied as much as the others, right? As far as distribution is concerned. So if that's what you're concerned with, I mean, let me know, be more specific. But in regards to the book of Revelation, I mean, I can talk about it, right? I can expound on it, right? I can exegete it. But for the most part, I don't really deal with that book that much. I don't really deal with Revelation that much. I know when I was a Christian and first came into the truth, I was real big and heavy on it, and then I made that transition in regards to core culture. And once you understand core culture, now you can better see the prophecies. You know what I'm saying? So Shema, this is it right here. It's called Spring Valley Organic Greens, Fruits, and Vegetables. All right. You can take a screenshot, or you could just go back when the video's over, and you can get that. All right. Okay. So yeah, you gotta be more specific in regards to that. Now you say in Revelation 22:15, for without are dogs. Okay. I mean, I am gonna do Q&A, but I wanted to talk about a couple of things first. So hold on to that, G-Deb. Let me open it up to Q&A in a moment. Let me just rock real quick with y'all. So those of you who seen the health session that I did last weekend, I recorded it live. All right. That is representative of the group sessions that I do. People normally book through kingdomharbinger@gmail.com for a group session or a consultation, private consultation. You go to naturopathic@gmail.com. All right. So that session was on cancer. Now, what I had to do is, given the audience, I kind of had to minimize a lot of the scientific jargon or medical jargon that's tied to the subject matter. So I had to catch myself a lot when I wanted to just say certain words or explicate on certain terms. But I realized that the audience that was there, that was not really their field. So I had to make it as simplified as I possibly could, so the information get absorbed. Because mostly with the group sessions, I mostly just go in the private consultations. I normally kind of simplify it, but it was like an indirect consultation group session because one of the individuals that was there, actually he's a pastor. He had bone cancer, right? And I knew about that in advance before I did the session. So I wanted to make sure if I was going to do something on health that I get towards something that somebody's indirectly something that they're wrestling with, or directly that they're wrestling with, and I want to indirectly aim it towards them. And that's why I put that down. So if y'all like that session, y'all hit 1 if y'all like that session. Let me know if you enjoyed that session. Hit 1 if you enjoyed that session. Those of you who did see it, hit 1. All right. So those of you who know me or been following me on social media, you know that I'm really big on health and wellness. I'm not a super health wellness junkie. Like, that's not me, right? But I'm very big on it, and crafting naturopathic eating to help to alleviate these illnesses or diseases that we suffer in our community. Because the black community, and I'm speaking to the black community specifically on this, we're plagued with the most illnesses and diseases statistically, right? It's proven our community suffers from the most. So in looking at naturopathic eating, if we're going to really speak to the people of the book and their descendants of the people of the book, we have to look into the text itself, and we got to find a paradigm so we can fix these problems, right? So you take that ancient blueprint and you find a way to take the ancient blueprint and put it in modern contemporary times as a paradigm to resolve solutions, right? So that's what naturopathic eating is. I mean, naturopathy is your way of providing alternative medicine. And Eden, as we know, is, represents the Gan, or the garden that the Most High has set apart, and he had placed Adam and Eve in there. And the Edenic model, or the Edenic body experience, is being able to get a person back to that physical state of wellness, right? That was there before, according to the narrative, and before there was a falling away, right? And then from there was a degenerative effect that occurred, which affected those individuals and their descendants. So the objective is to get people back to that state, and that's why we offer that program. And remember, the ultimate end state of that program is to be a fully fledged HMO or PPO, so that way it could provide insurance and people can sign up for it as third-party insurance, or we're trying to get a lot of startups to bring it on board. A lot of millennials that are into health and so forth, they're creating a lot of startups, and we want to make sure that we actually partner with them and allow this to be one of the benefits in their package, right? So that way we can provide insurance for people who want the alternative health option, right? Alternative medicine option, right? So that's the end state. So when people donate, what they're donating to as far as naturopathic eating is, number one, being able to allow me to provide free consultations, which is $100, right, for a 2-hour session. Free consultations to people who otherwise cannot afford it. It also helps to pay towards free group sessions, which is a $300 value. And what it does is also goes into research and development and assistance with transitioning along to that fully fledged HMO PPO, which is going to take some time. But the objective is to get there. Now, those of you who follow me on Facebook is where I really post the most at. I don't really put much on Twitter, but I'm going to have to change that. Instagram, I may post once in a while here and there on Instagram. Most of my posting is on YouTube and is on Facebook. If you want to reach me, if you're on these social media platforms, if you look up top, you'll see what says reach me on social media. You can do so there. So in regards to Facebook, I had recently posted some information on Facebook that should be alarming to anybody. Now, before I do that, what I want to do, let me give a shout out to what I was watching on Netflix. First of all, those of you who are into Black Mirror, check out season 5, Black Mirror season 5 on Netflix. Man, when I say that joint was crazy, like I watched all the episodes of Black Mirror, right? Because what Black Mirror does is that it takes some kind of technological advancement and that people are kind of like cautious about, and it shows you the downside to it, right? So in here, one of them was dealing with social media, right? The other one was dealing with like virtual reality, right? And the other one was dealing with like drugs, I guess, and celebrity status or whatever. The one with Miley Cyrus. Long story short, the reason why I watch these episodes is because they give you a wealth of insight on what is really going on. When you watch Black Mirror, I'm telling you, man, Black Mirror, man, that thing will blow your mind. If you've never seen it before, watch season 1 all the way to season 5. If you've seen all of them, let you know season 5 is out right now. It's only 3 episodes, about a little over an hour and 10 minutes each. It's great. It's mind-blowing. And then what I also started watching on Netflix, I didn't finish it yet, was When They See Us. That is another, like, wow. And I didn't finish it yet. It's a limited series, but I saw enough of it to be like, wow. Now, I was fully aware of that case because I grew up in the Bronx, you know what I mean? So that was something that we knew about, the Central Park 5. And being that we was aware of that, that was something that was like a staple in regards to the late 80s, early 90s, you know what I'm saying? And as you can watch the show, you'll see at that time, he wasn't the president yet, but Donald Trump was getting involved in regards to saying, bring the death penalty back for these kids, you know what I'm saying? But you'll go ahead and watch that so you can understand what that's about. There's a lot of nostalgia from watching it, seeing a lot of old school things there from the late 80s, early 90s. But it was a true story, based on a true story, and it is mind-blowing, man, when you watch that. Really mind-blowing how they captured it. They did a great job with that. So if you're looking for something good to watch on Netflix, Black Mirror, and also check out When They See Us, all right? So I want to give those things a shout out to as well, right? All right. So, so you know, I'm still working on the Yod Hey Wav lecture, and giving you my take in regards to that. Again, I'm aiming to do that hopefully within 30 days, but we'll see what happens. Had a lot of other things that was taking my time away from working on that lecture, but I'm still diligently working on it. Whenever it's fully baked, I will let you guys know in advance and set up a session to kind of do that. Shout out to Yawo Evewi in the building, Denzel Banks. Shout out to Queen Zion Rich. Thank you so much, my sister Queen Zion Rich. I appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So, transitioning forward, like I said, I'm working on that, and again, I'll give you a heads up when that's ready. In regards to that, now, in this session, since this is an open session, like I said earlier, technically this is considered my birthday. So if anybody wants to donate or give me a gift, you can do so through the donation routes up there, so it can go to a greater cause than me. So again, it could go towards helping and assisting other people if they need it. So you'll see it up there where it says, here's how you can support this ministry. All right, it's right there up front. You can tap into that if you like, or you can do a super chat in a group if you want. Also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying this video. Also, if you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button. And when you get a moment, and the bell for notifications. And when you get a moment, go ahead and peruse through the channel, and you'll see, a lot of different content that, can appeal to almost anybody. Okay. So what we're doing is we're doing the road to 10K. We're trying to push to 10,000 subscribers, which we're looking to get within 30 days if everything works out well. At 10,000 subscribers, I want to do something special on this channel for those of you who are my day ones, and even those of you who join in new, right? We're going to do a giveaway for y'all, okay? But we got to hit 10K first, so be sure to subscribe, be sure to share this video, so that way we can meet that quota and we can move forward, all right? I appreciate that, sign of the times. Thank you. Rodney says, are you doing any articles on halakha? Yes. So the article that I was writing for ISSAJ is it touches on halakha, right? Because what it does is that it goes back and we reassess how the term Jew is defined, right? And within its context, who is a Jew, right? So that article in regards to what I taught on that lecture, in which I dealt with halakha, is going to involve that element as well, because that's a crucial, critical element in regards to the argument for our identity. You know what I mean? Appreciate that, G-Dab. Thank you. All right. So I'm gonna open it up for Q&A. So if y'all want to ask questions, you can. I'm trying to go through some information and share it with y'all while we're going back and forth. So y'all feel free to do that. Now, I don't know, as of late, once in a while, shout out to Gathering of Israelite Nation, Netherlands, shalom, shalom. As of late, you know what I'm saying, it's like everybody wants to debate, right? I don't have the time to debate everybody that wants to debate me, right? But when I give people the opportunity to do so, and most of the time, there's people that you see me debating are really the loudest of the bunch. I'm not saying they're the most eloquent, they're the most articulate, they're the most academic, they're the most deep in the scriptures. These are just people who have the loudest mouths and they talk the most, you know what. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give you an opportunity so that you can wild out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you talking crazy. All right, let me give you an opportunity. Like it's not even a debate for me. Like I just sit here and just be like, all right, let me just interface. It's not a debate, because when I'm in debate mode, it's a totally different ball game. Like it's shut them down time. Like, but I'm not really in that mode. Like I haven't really so there's some people who do want to debate me who's a little bit more moderate in regards to their expression in regards to it. But then it's the people like that talk the most. I said, all right, cool. You over here yapping and yelling, and I put them on this platform, maybe looking crazy. And then I just be like, well, I don't really even feel like doing this no more, because it seems like everybody got the loudest mouth and not the most qualified to have this type of discussion with me. You know what I mean? Shout out to Rodney Frederick. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Well, Evevi says, can you give me some insight on birthdays? Shout out to DJ in the building. All right, so in regards to birthdays, it's different in different cultures, right? So if we want to look at it from the Israelite culture, we can. But before I get into that, I just want to finish what I'm saying. So the last thing I want to say on that, as far as the debate thing, I don't really have nothing officially set up. I mean, I'm supposed to debate Chief X and brother Ankh in regards to can you boost the immune system and can you help detox the immune system, right? So that's still on the table. Whenever Sanetta transitions away from doing his series about like making the Israelites look crazy or whatever, once he wants to get back to real scholarship and real debates, then we'll see that. I think before I do that, I'm gonna do a lecture or a session on vaccinations and infectious diseases, so I can get people aware of what this phenomenon is now, medical phenomenon is in regards to vaccinations and the push for more vaccinations. And that kind of, it wasn't even, I guess it was an informal freestyle debate that I did with Ankh and Chief X. Is just the tip of the iceberg of the evidence and information I have in regards to vaccinations. They push vaccinations, right? I said vaccinations should not be your first priority, right? If there's other things that you can do, because you can naturally, put adjuvants in your body when you're sick, right? So that your immune system can actively adapt and adjust to whatever it is that has infected you, whether it's viral, whether it's bacterial, all right? So my objective is to do that debate on there, but I'm going to do a lecture beforehand on vaccines and infectious diseases, just so that people understand the context of this. And I guarantee after I put that out, they're not going to even watch that video, which is crazy, because if they're going to debate me, they should take some time out to watch the stuff that I put out there before you have a discussion. I mean, when it comes to health, that's my thing. I read health articles all the time, right? I talk to people in the field. Matter of fact, you're going to see an interview in July that I'm going to have with this guy who used to be a doctor, a medical doctor, done clinical research and everything for about 40 years. He's retired now, and now he looked back on his life, his medical career, and was like, damn, I didn't heal nobody. And he just felt guilty for that. So now he's into homeopathy. Now he's into naturopathy. And now he'll be on this channel, and I'll be interviewing him very soon. And he's gonna explain to you what his experience was in the medical field and what his experience is today, right? So when you get people firsthand, you know what I'm saying, who's actually out there in the field, and this guy, he's black, out there in the field, and they realize like, yo, choosing the allopathic approach in regards to trying to manage a disease or trying to suppress a symptom or whatnot, I didn't really help anybody. Think about that. For 40 years, how many patients he must have seen through that period of time. And now recollecting is like, damn, I really can't do nothing. But technically he was covered, because that was the model of the approach that he had to take in regards to helping people. You feel what I'm saying? But when you see this, I'm talking about, this is a groundbreaking interview with a black doctor who did 40 plus years, had a very successful practice and everything, just retired, left everything behind. It was like, I got to take a different route to helping my people. You know what I'm saying? Helping my community. So you're going to see it's serious, and you can look him up and you can research him and everything like that. He'll be on the channel soon. And I think what I'm going to start doing is all of those reserved videos that I have and emails, documents of people who are experts in the field. I think what I'm going to start doing is reaching out to them again more recently and just bringing them on the platform, because a lot of things that I say is backed up by scholarship, right? Academic scholarship, right? Or even people who have the experience in the field. And, the downside with somebody debating me is that if you're not aware that I interface with these people, it's not going to look good for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to look good for you, because I will get expert witnesses in here and they're going to help me give you that work. I mean, it's that simple. You know what I'm saying? But I think I'm going to put more of that on this channel, just to put it on record, so that way when I go to debate people, they can, if they're not aware, I can tell they're not paying attention. Because if I'm going to debate you, I'm going to watch a lot of your material. Like, I'm going to watch hours and hours of your material, so I can get a gist of who you are, what your background is, what you're equipped with. I'm going to go through peruse through all your social media accounts to see what you're posting, what's trending in regards to your page, and, some of the things that you're into, what you've taught. I'm going to look on YouTube. I'm going to go through everything as much as I can to gather as much information I can. And I'm going to go through all the black and white of where you stand, but then I'm going to go into the gray areas that shows the variables that you have not yet, found out how to factor into the equation. And that's what I'm going to hone in on. So what I try to do for people who want to argue and debate with me, I put material on my channel, like it's there. And it's rarely that I ever get somebody that says, hey, I'm going to go back to this video that you did, or this post that you made, and I want to deal with that. You don't hear nobody saying that. They just have this presupposition of what I believe, and they create this straw man and just be looking crazy. Like, yo, at least reference the stuff that I put out there. You feel what I'm saying? At least do that. But, I digress. So, I just got a recent comment. I got to read this to y'all, man. This is funny. This is really funny, right? Hold on. Let me find it real quick. Right? We're going to transition forward. I know y'all probably want to ask some questions. Let me see if I can address your questions. But if y'all just want me to bring out information, I got, when I study, there's always like multiple subject matters that I address. Y'all let me know if you want me to just bring out that work, and I can just share some resources with y'all like I normally do. Just go over some information. Y'all just let me know. Y'all let me know. All right. But before we go into that, I'm going to read to you this message I got. This is funny. It's extremely funny, right? So where is it at? Hold on. Where is it at? Unless he deleted it. Oh, here it is. So this guy, his name is El Messiah, right? Shout out to El Messiah. What's good? So anyway, he's going to leave a comment saying, this bum, Divine Prospect, ran from Prince Yeshua Bar Dawid El, the crown prince of the Nubian nation of Moors. He got all bases covered, right? He really don't want no smoke. Debate Prince Yeshua. So I reply, LMBO. Thanks for the laugh. I needed that. It's interesting that I ran from someone who I didn't even know existed. How do you run from somebody that you don't exist? Somebody going to tell you, hey, you running from this guy. I'm like, well, who is he? If I have to ask who the person is that you named, how can I possibly run from somebody that I didn't even know exists? Anyway, there's a reason why I'm bringing this out. So let's keep going. I said, if he wants this work, then tell him to hit me up. Why are you doing his dirty work? Are you getting paid for that? Let him speak for himself. He's going to say, send contact information. What contact information? You on my channel. This is the contact information. You make contact. Let's just talk. Then he gives me a link. A link, right? Y'all could go back and see this. I'm not sure. What video did he do this on? This was the video that I did when I had the debate with the Nubian. It's that video. So he said, he's saying this guy is going to put up $3,000 to my $1,000 to have a debate. Now, first of all, I never said I was putting up any money. Okay, that's number one. The only way I put up money to debate somebody is if it's a high-profile individual. This guy is not a high-profile individual, right? There has to be some benefit for me to get into a formal debate if I'm going to put my money up. So what I want to say is to El Messiah, if he's watching, if this guy wants to debate me, then he's going to put up his $3,000 just to have a discussion with me. Tell him to put up his $3,000, and then I'll give him a discussion. I'm not putting up no money. I'm going to put up a stack for what? I don't even know this person. You know what I'm saying? But, I study. I've heard of this person. People have sent me videos about this person, but I've never really taken the time to really, I never really paid it any mind. But if this guy wants a debate, and I've heard him, now that I think about it, call into Sonetta on a couple occasions, call into, not just Sonetta, he called into Cross the Line Radio with Tazariak and asked him a question, just a very novel question. And I'm like, and I know it was him because he said his name. If you want to debate, right, if you want this work, let me know. Email me, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. I'm not reaching out to you because I don't want to debate you. You want to debate me. You reach out to me, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. All right? You put debate in the subject line, and you put whatever you want to debate on, and my PayPal information is up there. My Cash App information is up there. The GoFundMe information is up there. The Patreon, hey, be a Patreon for 1 year. Donate $50 a month. Commit to pledge that for 1 year. You know what I'm saying? So you put your money up. I'm not looking to debate you. Why would I put my money up when I don't even care to debate this person? There's no gain or benefit for me debating this person. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to happen. I'm not putting no money up. You put your $3,000 up to get access to have a discussion with me, which is a preliminary before we do a formal debate. It's not going to look good for you. But if you want that work, that's fine. You're going to invest your money into it. And I'm more than willing to take the $3,000 and take it and do something constructive with those funds. So if you want, and this is to El Messiah and Joshua, whoever this guy is, if you want to have this discussion, then you email me, then you send me the payment via Cash App or PayPal, and then we can have a discussion. All right? And then that discussion will determine if we're really going to have a debate. Right? So you ain't got to pay to debate me. I'm saying I have no problem giving that work for free, but if you want access to have a preliminary discussion, put up that $3K. You got 3 racks, let's do it. You send me that money and we can have a discussion. If you're not putting that 3 racks you want to bet, if you're not willing to put that up to get access to have a discussion, because if you demand like that, then that $3,000 should be nothing. Like, yo, put my $3,000 up. You got guap like that. You talking about $3,000. Ain't nobody talking about no debate money. It's not that serious. It's not that serious. I'm not putting my money up that can go to better causes to debate somebody on what? You want to talk about religious stuff. That's what you want to debate on. As you can see, any Nuwapians that I've interfaced with, that does not work. So what angle? If you're going to use the same line of question that you use in Tazariak, that's not going to work over here. It's not going to work over here. It's not going to work over here. But if you want to do the 3K, do the 3K. Put your money up. Get access. I'll bring you on this channel. We'll have a discussion. And if you nice like that, then we can set up a debate. No problem. I'm not putting no money up, though. I'm not putting no money up. And if you want this debate, then we can set up the details. We can do it in person. We ain't got to do it virtually. We can do it in person. Because I want to look at you. You know what I'm saying? When I talk this information to you. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna uproot your foundation and your understanding as it pertains to my community. And you're going to have to just leave it alone. Like, come on, y'all. Like, I went, when I heard that, I went back and looked at the videos and stuff. I'm like, yo, like, and again, I'm not just, this is no disrespect to the dude, because I don't know him personally. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I don't know him. But I see the argumentation that he uses, and I'm like, yo, that's weak. That's weak. That's weak. It's extremely weak in regards to this. Now, you may have knowledge on other things, all right, but when it comes to Israelite understanding, like, this is not your lane. Like, fall back. But if you want this work, we can get it. All right, shout out to Go Get Us TV and my brother Chris talking about they'll match that 3,000. So look, so if you put up 3,000 and I got 2 other people that's putting up 3,000, that's $9,000. If we have this debate and we set up it at a venue, at a date and a time, and we do this in person, that's the only way I'm going to debate you. I'm not going to do this virtual. I'm going to look you in your eyes when we have this discussion. We're going to sit down, have this discussion, and we're going to do it in person. We're going to do it live. And no video editing, no nothing. We're going to do it live. And trust me, when I tell you, I'm coming prepared. Coming prepared. PowerPoint's going to be no less than 200 slides. Not only am I going to point out all of the inconsistencies in regards to the Nuwabian understanding of Israelite culture, I'm also going to bring out a lot of the weak points in Nuwabian doctrine. I'm going to show you, all the sources you can go to, primaries, to undermine a lot of the things that was put forth in Pop's work. Because he, like I said, he has some right and exact information, but some of his information is off. I'm going to bring all of that out. I don't even know what subject matter you want to debate on, but whatever you want to debate on, let's do it. It's not a big deal to me. Like, this is fun. If you're going to put money up, then that's going to pique my interest. Say, all right, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody else, I just give them a shot. I say, all right, cool. You want to debate me, whatever, I'll give you a shot. Right? Because I'm not looking to debate nobody. I don't really care for that. I mean, I like debating, right? Like informal debating. But if I'm going to do a formal debate with somebody, there got to be some money put up. You have to put some money up. If you're looking for me, you got to put some money up. It's that simple. Because you got to pay for my time. That could go towards doing other things. And you want me to take my time aside from what I'm doing, what I'm investing in, to have a discussion with you about what? About religious dogma? Why? It's not that serious. So if you pay me, then we can have a discussion. If you pay, I have no problem. We could talk about it. We could talk about it. But just remember, if money's on the line, this is going to be trust me, I'm going to be extremely precise. After the discussion, people are like, man, he should have been a heart surgeon. He should have been a brain surgeon. That's how precise I'm going to be. I'm not playing games with y'all. No shaky hands over here. We're getting the tools. We're going right to work. So if you want it, fine. Put the 3,000 up. My contact information is right there. Send me the 3,000. Send me the email, and we'll set up the discussion. All right? So let's move forward. I just want to let y'all know because that's what's coming out. Anybody else want to put up money on that? Y'all can put up money on that. I mean, we could put the bag together and we could put it up. I mean, if you give it to me and I win it, if I win money, It's going to, the organizational programs that we have, and it's going to people in need. I don't need none of that money. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what I do anyway. You know what I'm saying? But it'll be good to raise money for a good cause, right? I don't know what your cause is if you want to raise the money for, but I'm not concerned about that because you're not going to win. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, I digress. Let's move forward. All right, so if y'all got any questions, throw them up. Let me share some information with y'all. We can go from there. Because like I said, none of that is spiritually edifying at all. None of that is, edifying the community. None of that's giving people practical solutions. Like, that discussion is not doing any benefit to anybody that's interested in what I do and seeing me on a ticket. Like, it's not that serious. It's not that serious. It's not that serious. And that's the reason why I'm confident that I will win, because your end game is weak. You need to properly define that. So that's the first thing when we have a discussion. You must define what is your end game for our community. What is the end state that you see our community being in based on whatever it is that you're contributing and putting forth? What is your resume of success in regards to implementing whatever your paradigm is? We're going to have to see your work. Let's see it. And if you cannot quote my resume off the dome, then why are we having a discussion? I should really show y'all. I don't really want to promote this guy, man. I don't want to promote him on my channel. But you can type that name into YouTube. He be calling like random people out. Nobody knows about him like that. Nobody's calling him, but he's calling random people out. He's trying to obviously make a name for himself. Hey, if you want to make a name for yourself as the person that got smashed by Divine Prospect Pause, then we could do that. It's not a problem. If that's the name that you want, you can get it. I tell people all the time, you may think this is easy. People, oh yeah, I got 30 years in the game, like Nuwabian. So yeah, I've been Nuwabian since I was since I was 15 years old. Okay. I've been conscious half that period of time. That means you have a 7-year advantage on me. More than 7-year advantage. So you have the advantage. There should be no way that I can best you if you're quoting to have all these years. People come in, yeah, I've been in the walk for like 15 years. I've been in the walk for like 35 years. Like, I don't wear nothing like that on my sleeve. It's not that serious. You could be in error for 35 years. You could be in error for 10 years. That's why I don't brag about that. For what? I'm learning and growing and evolving all the time. I'm a student before I'm a teacher. So when people come in, they weird all of that, like they poke their chest out and they beating their chest, that don't faze me. Because all that's going to do is make you look more crazy when you lose. So why even do that? All right, so let's they always clout chasing. Some people got the nerve to say that I'm clout chasing. Who am I clout chasing? Who am I trying to chase clout from? From who? Doing what? That dude Kanoom said, "Oh, you trying to start your own church in the Israelite community?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Bruh, if that was my goal, I'd be doing that right now. I'd be set because I've been in that arena before, and I know how to set up a church. I know how to run a church. I know how to get members. Like, if that's what I wanted to do, I'd be doing that right now. That's not what I want to do. That's not my end game. You feel me? So for you to say, oh, you're going to start your own organization with your own brand of Hebrewism. What? That's how I know you don't follow my work. That's how I know it's not going to be a good look for him. But anyway, so Ivri, Yisraeli, Yehudi, Hebrew, Israelite, Judah said, what is the best mic for YouTube and editing software? So if you want a mic for YouTube, you got to get a broadcasting mic. All right. The Yeti is a good mic as well. You can get the Siren X that I have here or the Siren Elite by Razer. These are also very good broadcasting podcast type of mics. All right. And I'm speaking through one right now, which is the Razer Siren X. Editing software, I mean, there's a whole host of editing software. A lot of people use Final Cut for editing. If you have Apple, you want to use Final Cut, the latest version of Final Cut. If you're doing editing on the computer, I use Cyberlink Power Director version 15. I may upgrade to version 17, the latest version. I don't know. I don't really like doing the cloud versions of it because it's a ripoff. So if I can get like the actual domestic software, I tend to use that. But there's also good things you use too. Like you have Adobe Premiere Pro that you can use as well for video editing. If you're new to video editing, you can use just Adobe Premiere, just a regular Premiere. And there's another piece of software that I got on here. And that is called Movavi. So Movavi is also really good. Like I got Adobe Premiere Elements 2019 on here. I got Movavi Video Editor 15 on here. I got my Cyberlink Power Director on here as well. And I use Cyberlink the most. I've been having some issues trying to use it to edit a lot of the 1080p 30 frames per second video that I record with my Logitech Brio 4K Pro. And then I had to use Movavi or Adobe Premiere to edit it in. I don't know why. It has an issue with processing the information. It's one of the algorithms in there has difficulty reading the format, right, and translating the format. So, but yeah, that's some software that you can use for editing. You know, what I have right now, I'm using XSplit, which is the interface that you see right now. You can go through different scenes. So I can do this and I can flip to, like I did before, like a PDF file or a website or something else like that. You can also customize it, right? You can put little things up here like I did and things at the bottom, like you can see that I did. I got my logo up there as well for KHM. So hopefully that gives you kind of an idea. For me, the best webcam out right now is the one that I'm using. And what I'm going to do on one of these sessions is stream in 4K just to see, right? But this webcam goes up to 4K, right? Right now we're streaming in 1080p at 30 frames per second, okay? And usually if you do like Google Hangouts, they limit it to 720p at 30 frames per second. But because I'm using XSplit, a lot of this data is being taken and is being translated over to YouTube in 1080p, 30 frames per second, all right? So hopefully that helps answer that question. All right, so let's move forward to the questions, and I can bring us some information while we're doing this. Will you address the obesity epidemic? If y'all want me to, I can. Definitely, if y'all want me to, I can. So just email me naturopathdayeden@gmail.com. Put that request in there, and I'll put it on my list of different things to address. So let's see what's up. Do you know good animators for things like anime or just cartoons? Also, can you post a link for the mics and editing software? Also, free editing software. Okay, but I probably will have to do that separately. What's your thoughts on flat earthers? Any interest in debating one? Maybe. I'm not a flat earther myself, even though I see some of the arguments that they make, logical arguments that make, and I see where they're coming from, but I'm not a flat earther myself. Would I have a debate with one? Maybe. It depends if I have the time to do it. But I mean, talking about the flat earth or round earth or whatever is not really a big deal to me, right? So, you know, if I'm gonna have a discussion or debate on something, I mean, it has to be a subject matter that I'm into, right? So let me see. So Foolish World 75 says, when will the next mixtape drop? I want to submit some music. All right. Thank you for saying that. So the deadline for submissions is the end of this month. Sunday is when I'm gonna push out the requests to any artists that's watching this, right? And or emails out to the previous artists if you want to contribute to volume 2 of the mixtape. All right. That is supposed to launch in Q3, which is the beginning of July. All right. So you know, definitely if you want to submit music, send it to kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. If you look in the description, you'll see the email addresses there. Okay. Henry Campbell says, can you explain how to use DNA to properly trace ancestry? I guess I can explain that, but I mean, that is going to take some time. But if you're interested in tracing using DNA, there's a website. So let me give you this website. All right, maybe that'll help you. All right, let me find the website that I typically use, if I can find it. All right, so that is going to be where's my bookmark? This one right here. All right, this is it right here. I'm gonna give y'all the link. So this one deals with here, let me just share the link. Let me share the link for y'all. Here you go. I know somebody asked me my birthday, so I probably want to get into that too. That's a good website that I just send you to get information in regards to DNA. That's one of the websites that I use. The other one, where's the other website? Here's another website too.
Essentially, there are only two, and the Suez. And to determine which route was taken, we really have to look at.
Now, one of the interesting things that happened is
so I'm a probably try to post it at a later time. I can't find my link to it. I'm gonna post that at another time. You can use that one there for now because that's pretty decent. But when I get the other ones, I'll share it in a future session. All right. All right. So Rodney Frederick, no, it does not. The only time you're going to look at any kind of like time travel would be prophetically. That's the only thing. Physical time travel, it does not talk about parallel universes or other dimensions, possibly other dimensions. Yes, if we're going to talk about the ethereal realm, where all of these, spirits reside and these entities reside, then yes, it pretty much taps into dimensions, right? Being that there's other realms outside of this physical realm that we interface with day to day. So yes, it does touch in that. But like a parallel universe, stuff like that, nah, it doesn't discuss that. How do you know the 7th-day Sabbath without the new moon? So Go Get Us TV says, how do you know the 7th-day Sabbath without the new moon? Now, I think I know who that is because somebody asked me the exact same question. Yes, I'm familiar with Mazzaroth. Mazzaroth has to do with the constellations, right? It has to do with the circle of crowns, right? Which represents the different constellations, right? So that's what Mazzaroth is, to young Ak, who just asked, all right? So if you want to know about that, I touch on that in my lecture that I did on the calendar. I bring up Mazzaroth and I explain like how we can use that in regards to sidereal years, right? As far as timing. Now, the person asked me, how do you know the 7th-day Sabbath without the new moon? Now, if I was not using the new moon or the moon itself as a method of reckoning, the first question is, why would I not be using the moon? Number two, I think somebody says, well, what if you was in a dungeon somewhere, you was locked up or something crazy like that? Even if I was locked up somewhere, if I'm released, I'm going to know what day it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I mean, I guess if you're saying like if I'm off the grid and I like go into a coma or something like that and wake up and I need to kind of figure out when the new moon is. I mean, first of all, that's not even ideal. That's the chance of that happening is very slim. Okay. But there's other things that you can use, right? And if you're not using a new moon to understand when is the 7th reckoning day of time. Now, again, this is why when we look at the method that I utilize, we talk about the sun, moon, stars. We talk about weather. We talk about animal migrations, animal mating, and we also talk about crops. So again, there are yearly crops. There are crops that grow during the time period in which the 7th month is there. So I can look for the crops. Okay? There's signs in the weather as far as meteorology is concerned. There's signs in the heavens, on the skies, that help give you an indicator of when the time is. There's constellations that occur during that time of year that you can look at as well to help you ascertain when is the 7th reckoning of time in regards to the what's called the Hebrew calendar. I'll call it the menological model, so that way you know when the 7th month is. There's other signs to help you triangulate when this month is. It's just not just the moon. The moon is one. Matter of fact, the moon is the last piece. Everything else is factored, and the moon is factored last. Right? And the moon only helps with just counting to 1 all the way into like Abib all the way to Bull. That's it. That's just what the moon is used for, just to count. But to assess what part of the year that you're in, you can use those other 5 methods before you even get to the moon. So that's not really that difficult. You know which animals are migrating out during the, approaching the fall period, all right? You know, in regards to the animals that were born during the springtime, and you look at their maturation level, you can tell about that as well. You can look in the skies and see the shifting as far as the clouds, and you can look at proximity of the various layers of the atmosphere, so you can determine when it's getting closer to it to being a rainy season, because the rainy season is towards the end of the year in Israel. Or in your environment, you can tell that as well if you look at it. You can look at your constellations. The constellation will tell you what month you're in based on the constellations. Looking at a sidereal year. All of these things help you to determine that. In regards to the counting, if you have a sundial and you're using a sundial to count the amount of daylight hours, you can tell the daylight hours are depleting. And the nighttime is increasing. So again, when somebody says, oh, if you didn't have the new moon, how would you know it's the 7th month? Obviously, I don't know. Again, I don't know if this person is the same person that asked me that question. But what I will say is that you can know by looking at other signs. And if you are familiar with what I teach in this channel, you'll see that I've given those alternatives so that way you can tell how to properly pinpoint time. Because one of the things that's part of our cultural understanding is 2 or 3 witnesses. So I'm not just going to use the moon, right? I don't subscribe to using the moon to count years. That's not what the moon, in my regard, in regards to the sacerdotal, the priestly calendar or reckoning of time, is just using from Abib to Bull. That's it. That's the only time that I use the moon. Outside of that time frame, and that is being superimposed onto the civil calendar, which I use currently, which is the Gregorian calendar. That's the civil calendar that I use. If I was not in this society and I was living off the grid, I would have a completely different way of reckoning time. It would be completely different than what I do now. But because I am in this society, I use the Gregorian calendar, right, as my civil calendar, and the pre-exilic Israelite sacerdotal menological model as my Hebraic calendar, so to speak. All right. So hopefully that answers your question. All right. Do you think America is Babylon? Figuratively speaking, America is part of Babylon in regards to this modern day system, right? And is about to get into a war with Iran, Persia. Thus is this prophecy. That's possible. Looking at the way things are, it's possible. But you know what? I've had people prophesy that would happen 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and it has not happened. And that's a great area in regards to prophecy, is that even though you may see the inevitable, when it's going to happen, nobody knows. You don't know, and you're not going to know. So that's why I don't speak confidently on prophecy like that, as if I have the definitive revelation on it, because people have been saying these things for years and nothing has transpired, nothing has happened. Now you got to remember, this called the totalitarian tiptoe. The totalitarian tip. What is the totalitarian tiptoe? That means you have an oligarchy system that wants to continue to keep its rule, but in order for it to get the masses, to socially engineer the masses to go towards their program, they have to do events one behind the other, but make the events look unrelated. So to them, it's all schemed out and it's related. But to you, you may not relate different little things. But what they do is they do these little things that look like they're, dissimilar, purposely to fool you into thinking there's different events that are occurring that are not linked to each other, when in fact all these events are linked together, and the purpose of it is to get you to do what's called the Hegelian dialectic. Pressure from above, pressure from below, and from that you have a synthesis of what you want to offer as a problem solution problem. So you have a problem, you offer a problem, right? You offer a solution, but the people may not want the solution, so you create another problem and another problem, another problem. So then you can take that solution and then bring it back to a point where people are worn out and they open their arms for a solution. That's how this thing works. Okay, so when we're looking at things from that perspective, trying to understand what's going on as far as prophecy is concerned, prophecy is a gray area because nobody knows any definitive time. So if you're saying to me, well, don't you want to leave America because America's about to get nuked with a nuclear weapon? Hey, if that's going to happen and I'm over here and let's say everything that I subscribe to in regards to my culture is true, I don't have to worry about that, because Yah is going to take his people from the four corners of earth and he's going to situate them where he needs to put them. So I don't have any fear of that. If a nuclear weapon is going to come off and blow up here, it's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. You know what I'm saying? So the objective, let's just preserve our life. Let's just leave and escape America, as if persecution is just going to be limited to America. If America gets nuked, okay, that's not going to stop persecution anywhere else that you go. You cannot hide from the system. Now, the reason why I brought up earlier about Black Mirror actually explains to you how they keep tabs on you. The Black Mirror episode that I'm talking about, let me get the name of that episode. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm talking about. And where it shows that the social media, these social media platforms that you guys are on, that YouTube included, Google included, Facebook included, Instagram included, Snapchat included. I mean, the FBI is tightly intertwined with all these social media platforms. You cannot hide. They know everything about you. Everything has an active listener. Anybody that is familiar with networking, I don't know who in here is familiar with computer networking, but you have what's called listeners, right? So a listener is something that is always looking for data on a particular port, right? This is where you get your TCP, IP, etc. But it's always listening for data that comes in and out of a port. So when you have something like this, and I'm gonna show y'all this, right? When you have something like this, right? You see what this is? This is the Echo Dot, Amazon Echo Dot. And as you can see right now, I have it unplugged. But when you look at something like this has an active listener in it. Every conversation that you say, everything that you do, if you use Google Home, if you use Amazon, Echo, whatever, it's always listening. Always listening. And then now what's supposed to happen is that data is not supposed to be transmitted or processed until you say a particular word. But it's always listening. That means your information any ambient discussions you have in your household is being transmitted back. Your phone itself has active listeners in it. How do I know? Because I've rooted a phone before and I put programs on it to listen to applications to see what they're trying to access. Even when you turn the permissions off, it's still listening. And this is the OnePlus 7 Pro for those of you that's interested in what phone that I use, right? And it's a great alternative to using Apple or Samsung. I typically don't get Apple or Samsung because I like getting a third party. But like for this phone, like if I draw an O with this phone, it opens up my camera. See? And if I'm doing a camera, let's say I'm doing a selfie, see, as a pop-up camera. But these have listeners on it, active listeners on it, that's listening to everything that you say. They can activate your camera without any indication. Like, for example, your webcam can be activated, and it can just turn off put the 0 for no and 1 for yes, and it can go into the registry and turn it off so that the light does not show. Or they can deactivate the light so that you don't even know that you're being recorded. For my webcam, I have this, which is a privacy blocker, and it goes over the webcam so they can't see it. But the webcam still has mics on it, so they can still pick up audio. Okay. Same thing with this mic that I have here. They can go into your computer and they can unlock anything they want and they can get information from you. Even if you don't have a computer, they can do it to your cable box. If you have a cable box, if you have a streamer like me in my house, I don't have no cable boxes. I have 3 streamers. I have the NVIDIA Shield in my living room. I have the Roku streaming stick in my my daughter's bedroom. And then in my bedroom, I have the Roku Ultra, right? So I have 3 streamers. I do not have cable boxes. I got rid of cable a long time ago, right? Because you don't need cable now. I have Google Fiber, 1 gig up, 1 gig down, and this helps, gives me enough bandwidth and throughput for me for all the streamers that I have in my house, plus this. And I wouldn't be streaming this in 1080p, 30 frames per second if I did not have a gig up, all right? But nonetheless, you can be spied on, and there's nothing you can do. Even if it's not you, somebody else's phone can also do it. Now, they have a phone. Let me show y'all this phone. If anybody's really interested in security, and me, I mean, there's nothing for me to hide because it's like they already know. But if you're interested in security, like getting a phone that has the utmost security in it, let me show you this phone. All right. It's called the Black Phone 2. Okay. Black Phone 2. And I recommend it to anybody that's heavily concerned about security, about privacy. Also, you can use Tor software if you want to browse the web anonymously and you don't want your cable provider or your internet provider to snoop into the websites that you're going to. So what it does is it redirects traffic at several points and it breaks it up into packets. So that way it cannot be traced where that data is going, where is it coming from. So Tor is a way that you can browse the web anonymously and support the Tor project. But if you want you can have this. And I'm going to show you this on the screen real quick. Let me go to my scene 2 and let me add. Oh, let me go to scene 3. I'm going to add this link right here so you can see it. If it'll show it. Yeah, it's not going to show it. I got to fix that part out. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if it's. Let me do this. Hold on. All right, and this is a sidebar. This is something separate, but I mean, I'm sure somebody can benefit from this. All right, here we go. I'm gonna send y'all the link just in case I cannot show it on my screen, but let me share the link for y'all. Yes, you can use VPN, but VPNs can be broken into. And how do I know? Because I've done it before. I had to do it for a job because we had some issues with our VPN and we had to break it. So you can hack into VPN. VPN is virtual private network. That's an IT term. And if those of you don't know, I'm in the IT industry, right? That's what I do. I do IT. I'm a solutions engineer. But anyway, but yes, you can use VPN, but you can still hack into VPN. There's ways that you can look at the protocols, and you can, if you get the information, like if you know at the enterprise level, the point, so the way VPNs work is that it allows a private tunneling from one endpoint to another endpoint, and it's a private tunneling network that's encrypted and secure, that you go from your point, which is your laptop, to like a company enterprise server, right? But during those points, there's checkpoints in between, and you can hack into the checkpoints in order to figure out where it's going, especially if you know the server that the VPN is actually trying to tunnel into, right? So there's ways you can do that. But anyway, so I sent you the link right there. Yeah, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the scene. The source is right there. It's called the Black Phone 2. All right, Black Phone is the world's first smartphone built from the ground up to be private by design. Now with a faster processor, more RAM, and a larger display. All right, so if you are concerned with safety, if you're concerned with privacy, if you're concerned with all those things, get the Black Phone with Silent OS. All right, so that's just a nugget I just threw out there for those of you concerned with privacy. All right, what is good non-hackable software but free? Ivory, email me at kingdomharbor@gmail.com and I can answer those questions. I really didn't open this up to talk too much about this stuff, but if it was beneficial to somebody, great. But, oh, I just lost my chat. Let me see if I can get it back. Nope. Just lost the chat by doing that. Anyway, I'm just gonna look at the chat in the screen. Yep, I just lost my chat function, but it's all good. Anyway, so let's get back to talking about stuff that pertains here on this channel. So anyway, so Yoel said, was Job an Israelite? No, because in order for him to be an Israelite, he'd have to be born through Yaakov, and he was not a descendant of Yaakov. So he's not an Israelite. So Henry, when you say the Aramaic papyri, are you talking about the elephantine papyri that was written in Aramaic? If that's what you're talking about, then it seems that you're going with the Orthodox commentary on that, which proposes that these people were polytheists, and that is incorrect. When you understand the divine council, you actually answered your own question when you see that Yod-Heh-Wav is chief, because Yod-Heh-Wav was the deity that those on Elephantine Island was actually worshiping as the chief deity. They even built the temple to Yod-Heh-Wav, and they got into beef with the other Egyptian priests that was on there to the point where the other Egyptian priests and the people destroyed their temple to Yod-Heh-Wav. Now, when you go into, like, let's say, for example, the Elephantine papyri as it pertains to the Pesach or Passover letter, the way that they mention the deities, they'll say Elohim in the plural, and then the verb will also be plural, which is interesting because when we go into the scriptures, you know, especially let's say, for example, Genesis 1:1, a Bereshit 1:1, where it says bara Elohim, you have a singular verb and you have a plural noun. In Hebrew, that's not syntactically correct. But then they explain that to be what's called a majestic plural, right? But neither here nor there, in the Elephantine Papyri, they use the plural verb and they use the plural for the noun. So people will look at that and think, oh man, you see they're polytheists. And this is exactly what a lot of scholars that actually look at it and they say, well, these people had to be polytheists. And they link that back to, you know, the activity that the northern tribes were doing in Israel in the Iron Age period. But what I simply say to them is that when you see that they've only had temples dedicated to Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, he was the chief deity. Other deities was underneath him, and when they talk in plural, they're talking about the divine council. That's what they're speaking about. There's different entities in the divine council, but there's one chief deity, and therefore henotheism is not, you know, I mean, there's you cannot take away henotheism from these people as a culture because it's prominent even in the archaeological record. You know what I'm saying? Even when they mention a so-called partner or consort of Yod-Heh-Wav, Yod-Heh-Wav is also mentioned first, always mentioned first, and then the consort, and then whatever other deities is at. Now, when I do my lecture on the Yod-Heh-Wav on the name, we're going to talk about the battle between Yod-Heh-Wav and Baal in order to be the chief deity in to restore the chief deity position in Palestine at that time. So it was lost in the sense where when the people stopped worshiping El, the El was losing his power to Yam, which is the sea deity, right? And Yam means sea, but it's also a personification of the sea in regards to being a deity, and Baal Hadad. And when you go and you read the Baal cycle, which is the mythos from Ugarit, you'll see that Baal was fighting with Yam, right? So what happened was the Amorites were the ones responsible for removing the worship of El and encouraging the people to lift up Baal, to lift up Yam, where El lost his power and his reign in that region. This is why the Amorites were targeted in the text. And then you'll see when they come back in, Yod-Heh-Wav, which is the avatar of El Shaddai, is saying, now we got to go to war. Because the only way to establish his right back into the land, we got to go to war. We got to fight. First, we got to fight against the deities of Egypt to get you out of there, and then we got to fight again when you're going to the land. And we see this prominent in Judges chapter 11. So a lot of people try to stay away from this because, you know, it's like taboo, and I deal with it straight up like that's exactly what had to happen. Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, Sabaoth, that's the deity of war. Like, we got to go to war and we got to fight. But again, that was something that was common during those times. People try to single out the Bible itself and say, oh, the Israelites, they were there and they fought the Canaanites. First of all, those same people say that the Israelites is not real. Same people say the Exodus is not true. So if you're saying that they're not real, the Exodus is not true, then why are you beefing with the narrative then? If you say all of that's fake. Now, if you say, if you do deduce in your mind, say, okay, let's give it a degree of reality to say it's true, but they went in it and they extorted and they killed all these people. Now, no, because one of the rules of Torah is before you go to war, you have to entreat the people with peace first. Now, there's certain places that have been designated for destruction, and this is interesting because that's another lecture that I'm going to do. Woo! Devoted to destruction. That is going to blow your mind when I get into that. These deities set apart items and things and people for destruction. And this is necessary in order for this deity to be sustained. Just as according to the deity to be sustained, things had to be devoted to destruction. And this was not nothing that was just singular in regards to one entity. This was something that was common during that time. But see, these are taboos that Judeo-Christian and Islamic faiths don't want to deal with. This is why when we go back to the pre-Israelite Israelite culture, these are things that we deal with. These are things that's on the table. We deal with this because we understand this is part of the historical, cultural context of who these people were. And people try to run away from that. You understand what I'm saying? No, I don't see the Talmud, which incorporates the Mishnah and the Gemara and other commentary, as authoritative. No, I see it that it gives good insight. It has some good information. Same way I see Paul's epistles. Paul's epistles have good information. Is it authoritative to me? No, it's not. But that's my position in regards to the Talmud. And again, I did a lecture on that, Mind of Joshua. You want to go back and check it out. It's called How Do We Walk It Out? Go back and check out that lecture that I did, and I talk about the Talmud in there. You'll see what my position is in regards to the Talmud, all right? Yes, Henry, my position is the text was redacted, so that way they kept the term Elohim, but they redacted the verb and they made the verb singular. And they try to say that that means the majestic plural. That's talking about the greatness or awesomeness or the immeasurable, innumerable size of the deity. And all of that is incorrect. What it's doing is it's talking about the divine council as a singular entity. Multiple entities is working together, just like the term corporate, the term team. All of these are plural singulars, right? So that means it's a singular noun, but it encompasses plural entities, okay? So that's what that's about. So Rodney said, "What is the chief differences between the Geneva Bible and the KJV?" That's a great question. It's actually a website that does a comparison and analysis between the two. Now, what I do is I have software that if I have two different texts, I can run the software and it'll show me the differences between the two texts, right? Have I done that on a Geneva or KJV myself? No, I haven't put it through my computing software to do that, but I have read up on that in various websites that have done analysis between the two translations, right? So there are differences. What are the chief differences? Off the top of my head, I cannot tell you right now. I have to go back into that study and give you that information. But anyway, we can get into that another time. If that's a question you have, Rodney, shout out to Rodney in the building. Email me at kingdomharbinger@gmail.com that request, and I'm gonna try to address that at a later time. All right. All right. So I think I'm covering as much as I can right now. So remember, the cities that was set apart for destruction by the Israelites when they went into Canaan were the cities that still had giants in them. And we know that as a prerequisite before war, when the spies are sent out by Moshe, where Joshua and Caleb are two of those spies representing their tribes, and they're sent out, and when they go spy and come back, they say, the 10 say, oh, the people there is as you know, giants, and we look like grasshoppers to them. Because the cities and towns that are set apart for destruction, they still contain the remnant of these giants. Now, which is interesting, because the text itself says during the antediluvian period, the period before the flood, giants existed, and then they existed afterwards. So the question is, a couple things there. Number one, did giants survive the flood? Which would be very interesting to note. Number one, and or number two, was there some kind of mutation? And I say that because Canaan is supposed to come from Ham. The Amorites is also supposed to come from Ham as well. And if there are some Canaanites and Amorites that were singing out for destruction because they were the giants, and the issue with the giants, as you can see, and this is really, really deep, right? So there was a stigma that the people had during those times about giants. Now you see this in Egypt as well. And I brought this out on my page a long time ago, right? My Facebook page a long time ago. We're saying, well, were there actually giants in the land? And what would constitute a giant as far as size? Is somebody 7-8 feet tall, would they be considered a giant? Or were these people like 15 feet tall? When you go into the book of Enoch, right? Because a lot of people will say, oh, the book of Enoch has no value. No, the book of Enoch has a lot of value because it goes along with what we see in the Torah itself, right? Very interesting things to note. One of the main things is Azazel. So Azazel, or Azazel, right? Azazel is the chief deity that was responsible for leading mankind into sin and straying them away from the Most High, when him and 199 other entities or watchers decided that they wanted to go and copulate with women and teach them these arts that were sacred that they wasn't supposed to know, right? And in doing so, the copulation part, they begat or they gave birth to giants. And now we have a situation that the culture was trying to understand what is the origin of these people who are like 8-9 feet tall, 7 feet tall. There's a lot of anomalies back then because of health reasons, right? There was pituitary gland ailments that a lot of people had during those times, which means that the body kept producing growth hormones that allowed the individual to keep growing, right? It was a deficiency, a nutrient deficiency that caused that. And a lot of other things could have do it too, mutation and so forth. I can get technical in medical terms, but I'm going to keep it very light. But ultimately, there was a stigma that the people had in regards to giants. They believed that the giants had, their existence came from this origin of these watcher deities, which are deities that's in between mankind, in between the divine council. They just sit right in the middle, and their job was to watch the things that are going on in the earth. And they decided that instead of they're going to watch, they're going to go intervene. Those of you who ever watch like or read the Marvel comics, there's a group of entities called the Watchers, and they are never supposed to intervene on anything. No matter what happens, they're supposed to just watch and observe. The Watchers had the same role, but they decided to get involved. You know what I'm saying? If you read the comics, there was times that the Watchers did get involved, and when they wasn't supposed to, and there was grave consequences for that. So the objective of talking about these giants was because there was a stigma that the people had in regards to giants, that they had some kind of nefarious origin, and therefore they had to be singled out for destruction. And one of the major things, because as a giant, it's going to take more resources to sustain you that is inconsistent with the way nature is supposed to supply resources to a community. Giants require more, right? And because of such, being much bigger, giants was also considered to be much more aggressive, right? Because they would use their size to intimidate other people, right? So when you go into the history deep enough and you read more ancient Near Eastern literature, you understand that there was an ancient stigma in regards to giants and how to account for giants. So a lot of those Canaanite cities that was targeted were the ones that the Israelites believed that still had giants, and these giants, like, matter of fact, let's get into it. Let's get into the scripture. Because I know, let's just get into scripture. Give me a second. Let me pull up the scripture for you. All right. Let's get into this. Ariyahu Williams. I mean, I would not doubt that. I'm sure that's the case. Can I verify that? No. But on things that I have read, it leads me to believe that that is a possibility. Legend, the DJ, I appreciate that. I've heard of that before, but you know what? Email that to me. Email that link to me. All right, email that link to me. Let me look into that a little bit further. All right. So Calvin Riley said, "Is that scripture?" Where I would like to read that. Are you talking about the giant thing that I'm talking about? I think you are, because you said, "Wow, giants." All right, so let's get into that. Because let me pull this up so people won't think, "Oh, Devon, you're not getting into the scriptures." Listen, man. Culture is not just limited to the scriptures. Scriptures is the foundation. Other research is the house that you got to build on top of the foundation. Because you can't do nothing if you just build a foundation. What you going to do if you just build a foundation? You're going to keep building the foundation? And that's the problem. A lot of the people in our community are very stagnant with the information. They're not building a house on the foundation. Foundation is understanding who you are, who the creator is, and why you're purposed to be here, right? Your descent, your future state, etc. But in the process of that, you got to get more information so you can restore your culture, be a more close-knit community, and become self-governing. And that's what KHM is about. So when I talk about things, the scripture is always in perspective, right? But we that's just the foundation. Culturally, you have to go into more interdisciplinary studies to fully understand what the text is conveying, because we have been disconnected from that cultural context and historical context and chronological context by thousands of years. Right? So what I try to do is put you right back into perspective and understanding of the sociology and psychology of the people, and understand why they would target giants. All right, so let's just get into it, right? Let me get it for you. So we're going to get Bereshit chapter 6, verse 4, or Genesis chapter 6, verse 4, right? I don't know why. Let me do this. Let me try this again. Maybe this will help. So y'all forgive me. I'm still working with XSplit. I'm still trying to get familiar with it. Trying to get it to do a few things, and it's really being stubborn. Okay, well, whatever. All right. So, oh wait, let me maximize that. I think that worked. All right. All right, there we go. Now, can you see? I'm on Bible Hub, right? Genesis 6:4. All right, now we're going to go to ESV. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterwards. So those days referring to the antediluvian period. Afterwards is the post-diluvian period, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man and they bore children to them. These were mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. Now you have people that are divided on this, and some people will say, well, the Nephilim came about because the sons of Seth interfaced with the daughters of Cain, and by them intermingling, they gave birth to these giants, right? It wasn't no Ben Elohim in reference to like these ethereal deities, and I beg to differ. And the reason why I beg to differ is because of Leviticus chapter 16 bears witness. Let's get that. All right. So watch this, and look, I got the English Standard Version for a reason, right? It says here, this is for the Day of Atonement. Somebody said Yom Kippur in the chat. Let's read. Aaron shall offer the bull as a sin offering for himself, and shall make atonement for himself and for his house. Then he shall take the two goats, and set them before who? Yod He Wav He, at the entrance of the tent meeting. And Aharon shall cast lots over the two goats, one lot for who? Yod He Wav He, and the other one for who? Azazel. But you know what's interesting? If we read verse 8 in our King James Bible, it says here, and Aaron shall cast lots upon the two goats, one for the Lord and the other for the scapegoat. What? What you mean for the scapegoat? That word does not exist in the Hebrew. This has to do with the rugged one of El. When you look at the root word here, Azaz, right here, Azazel, the rugged one of El. Who's the rugged one of El? Who's this entity, right? Look at this. Here's a footnote, right? Look at this. It says, the meaning of Azazel is uncertain, possibly the name of a place or a demon, traditionally a scapegoat. Also verses 10 and 26. If you continue reading verse 10, it says, but the goat on which the lot fell for Azazel shall be presented alive before Yah to make atonement over, that it may be sent away into the wilderness of Azazel. So if Azazel is not the scapegoat, because the word scapegoat is not there, who is this entity? You see in this footnote, it says possibly a demon. Why would they come to an understanding that the meaning is uncertain, which is not true? Because if you look at the etymology of the word, you understand what it is, right? You know what the word means. Possibly the name of a place or a demon. Now, is there a reference to who this character is? Yes, in the book of Enoch. The book of Enoch tells you that Azazel was the one responsible. Ascribe all sin to Azazel, or Azazel, the scripture says in Enoch. Ascribe all sin to him. Why? What did he do? As a watcher, he left his first estate, and we see this in 1 Kephas or 1 Peter. He left his first estate, and then they went to do something that they was not supposed to do. And because of such, they have defiled mankind. So now when this ceremony is performed, this ritual is performed, the goat that they sent out to Azazel is because Azazel was trapped in everlasting chains, and rocks was thrown over him, and it was believed that this occurred in the wilderness. This is where this comes from. So if you don't understand the literature that was also that they use aside the Torah, then you're not going to really have full understanding, because a lot of this correlates. So this right here rules out that sons of Seth and the sons of Cain, when these were ethereal entities that was like semi-human and semi, spiritual entities, that they were able to interface with mankind, and they was not supposed to do that, right? And in doing so, they the leader of them was Azazel or Azazel, and he was the one that led these other 199 entities to go and defile mankind, right? By interfacing with the women, by teaching them crafts and arts and, sciences that they were not supposed to know, because man would take it and do something wicked with it, which he wound up doing. And as a result of that, they bore these giants, right? And Nephilim, it's really interesting when we do the word study on Nephilim, but I'll get into that another time. I think I touched on that in a previous video. But the point I'm trying to make is that when you're looking at this, again, this ritual is a reminder of an event that occurred in the antediluvian period in regards to the offspring, because what it was believed was that a percentage of the spirits of the the offshoot, or the from the integration and copulation of these watcher entities and these women, a portion of those the offspring who died, a portion of them would live on to be these evil spirits, right? These spirits that create Ra, or evil, right, or calamity. And that is what was in the cultural mind frame, right? So when the text is being laid down, this is stuff that's already in the psyche of the peoples. So again, you have to really go back and research this to really put things in its proper context. So again, those cities that was targeted had these entities. Remember, we went to Genesis chapter 6 and 4. It says, in those days and afterwards. The afterwards is referring to the time when they're going back into the land and they see these giants in there. Okay. You gotta look at the people and their stigma as it pertains to, these notion of these giants. Okay. So, all right, let's move forward. Yes, you're correct, Deborah. Kwaku said the KJV be wildin'. All right, so let's move forward. Let me move forward for a moment. Now, somebody had asked me about, I think, like, the Bible as far as a birthday celebration. So what we can do to actually look into, like, a case scenario for that, if you go to Job chapter 1, verse 4, right? So Job chapter 1, verse 4 actually touches on that, right? And when we look in there, ESV says, his sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day, and they would send and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. Now, when that term there, his day, is mentioned, cultural understanding would be the time of a person, when they said his day, would refer to their birthday. And the reason why it would refer to their birthday when you say his day, because that's the only time that a feast was created that was not something that was based on some kind of mythos, or that wasn't based on some kind of custom, that wasn't based on some kind of statute, but it had to do with the individual themselves, right? So this was a ancient Near Eastern practice, and this is from Job. Now remember, Job is not an Israelite, right? But the book of Job is in the text because it helps with number one, understanding perspective in regards to man and the chief deity El Elyon. And also there's a lot of cultural gems in here. And this is one of them. Okay. So looking at this word that we looked there where it says his own day, you have the word ish yaumau, means his or each own day, or their, and they try to put like in brackets their appointed day, and that appointed day would refer to their earth day, their birthday, their solar return, or whatever you want to call it, and they would have a feast on that day. Now, a lot of times people will go to the culture of Mizraim and say, well, Pharaoh had a birthday, and that was something that you can attribute to Pharaoh because, of Egypt, that was a cultural trait of theirs in regards to birthdays, right? And that was true, right? That was something that they did also keep. But we see here in Job, this is also a practice of these people here as well, right? That they would have a feast on that day. You know what I'm saying? Now, as far as gifts and stuff like that, I mean, that's something different. That's a different element. But as far as feasting on that day, on their appointed day, they would have a feast on that day, okay? And it would be a social gathering, a feast on that day. And the reason why that's important, because if you look at the rites of passage, you have the day in which a person is born, right, which is a life event, and then you have the coming of age. And in order for you to determine when the coming of age is, you have to keep track of every year around the time when that person was born. This is what we use today to chart birthdays. They would do the same thing to know how to count different cycles to understand, like, okay, it's the 12th, 13th, 11th, 14th cycle. Now this person has to go do what is termed today as the bar mitzvah, or they had to go through a rites of passage from, being a girl to a woman, being a boy to a man. All right. So every time after that, that cycle is continuously counted from the seasons, helps to count those cycles. And in some tribes, they would have a feast on that day, right? That would be a memorial day in regards to them, and they would have a feast on that day. Had nothing to do with getting a cake and putting candles in it and blowing candles out. Had nothing to do with giving somebody a gift. Those are later things. That is more Western, right? Eastern wise, they would feast. It would be a social feast that they would bring people together, and then they would celebrate during that feast that person's period of time in which they transitioned from manhood, transitioned into manhood, transitioned into womanhood, and they would keep count after that. And every time they would have that feast, it would let them know how many cycles that they've actually been a man, been a woman, and it would be a reminder to themselves their responsibility in the community. So it was a little bit different than the way it's being seen here in the Western world. That's why I said I'm not big on a lot of the Western elements of birthdays anymore, because it's not cultural. Culturally, let's have a celebration. And now those of you who's interested, hey, what's going on June 8th or whatever for the event, I mentioned before that it's been canceled simply because a lot of the artists, the hosts, and the musicians, they were unable to have that day free. So unfortunately, later on today, there's not going to be an event. There may be some people who maybe didn't get that memo previously. But it was supposed to be a social, right? Where it's going to be food served and everything like that. It's going to be more of a social thing. Not going to be no cake, no birthday candles, no gifts or nothing like that. So if you're going to celebrate, that appointed time where you've transitioned into manhood or womanhood, which there is some, credence to that in regards to the text. Read the examples in the text, right? Here in Job chapter 1, verse 4, this was something that was continuously done in their houses, that an appointed time for each individual, they would have a feast, because it would be a remembrance in the amount of cycles that pass, right? What we call years that would pass from the time that they were, transition into manhood or womanhood. And also it would be a reminder of this person, hey, we're going to encourage this person to be a staple in the community. Culturally, that is the outlook in regards to that's concerned, but most people don't see it from a cultural perspective. So therefore, it's a little bit different. Shout out to Daweed Yachanan El. Yes, I'm up, and it is 3:30 a.m. Yes, I'm aware of that. So far, we've been on here for an hour and 47 minutes. So, I'll close this out in a second unless there's any other questions. That's correct, Rodney. Same here. Don Terry, that's an excellent question. For those people who subscribe to the New Testament, everybody should know what my position is. I mean, the Codex Vaticanus and the Codex Sinaiticus, these are earlier manuscripts, right? Because you have different text type families. You have the Alexandrian text type, you have the Western text type, you have the Byzantine text type, etc. And these are believed to be the oldest codexes that we have in our possession today. A lot of critical edition Bibles are based off of these older codices. The King James New Testament is really based on the Byzantine or the majority text type. So my position is the earlier the better, even though some people will say no, it's the reverse, right? Because they defend the majority text type or they defend the Byzantine text type family. But the Sinaiticus and Vaticanus represents an older tradition in regards to the manuscripts, right? My position, those of you who follow me know that I deal with the palimpsest, right? The Syriac Sinaiticus palimpsest and the Curetonian Gospels. So those are more the Eastern versions, and they will say, oh, these are Eastern translations. I beg to differ. I believe that the pedigree goes back to the Hebrew version of Matthew and the Hebrew versions of the Gospels. And I did a whole 4-hour lecture on that. You know what I'm saying? But that's my position on that. My position is I prefer to get the Syriac versions because the Syriac is a Middle Aramaic dialect, and it is preserving the best of what the original would have said in its sister language, as opposed to a diametrically opposed language like Greek or something like that. So that's my position in regards to those manuscripts as it pertains to the New Testament or the Brit Hadashah, right? Kwaku, yes, it does, and I agree. So, Deborah, you said that the Alexandrian text types are Gnostic? Really? Okay, well, if you believe that they're, because mind you, the Gnostic Gospels is different than the what we get in the Vaticanus and the Sinaiticus codices. These have nothing to do with Gnosticism. If you believe they do, Deborah, I'm gonna give you benefit of the doubt. Please put a link to a peer-reviewed article that speaks on this, that does this comparison, where it shows that there are traits and there are fingerprints that are similar between the Gnostic Gospels and the Nag Hammadi library and the Vaticanus and the Sinaiticus codices. Please show me something that's showing the analysis where it's comparing these two, the fingerprints of these two, showing that they're similar or that they're from a similar group. Please show that. I would love to see that. You said in the Vatican, but we're talking about the Vaticanus. We're talking about a actual manuscript, a codex. This has nothing to do with it. Oh, the Vatican created this. That had nothing to do with that, right? So we're talking about codices. So if you can show how these codices are similar to the Nag Hammadi library, please put an article there so I can see it. I would love to read this and see, because that is not the consensus, right? It's not the consensus. But if you believe it is, you can make an argument for it if you want, and or show us the sources, right? Cite sources that speak on that. Now, again, as far as the Vatican, I feel you. I don't rock with the Vatican either. But if we're going to talk about evidence, right? We're going to talk about the actual evidence in regards to textual criticism, and we're going to do the historiographical analysis on this. I need you to submit sources on that. All right. So if you have sources, put it. Yes, we went over this before, Deborah. Walter Veith of the SDA. I've watched a whole wealth of his videos, right? I've studied the SDA doctrine before I transitioned to Messianic Judaism, and then transitioned to away from, any of that, and then transitioned to being Israelite. Like, I went through those phases. You feel what I'm saying? We're not talking about the TR. The TR has nothing to do with what we're talking about in regards to the Sinaiticus and the Vaticanus. This has nothing to do with the TR. The TR is something completely separate than that, right? But we're talking about, you're saying that the same people the Gnostics who put together the Nag Hammadi library also were responsible for the Sinaiticus and the Vaticanus codices. Please show me something that makes that relationship. I need to see it. Give me a source for that. All right. Don Terry, what's the name of that lecture? Okay, it's called Baptized in the Tradition of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Baptized in the Tradition of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All right, go and check that out. All right, so family, so I'm looking at 8 more minutes. Right, I'm trying to keep this under 2 hours. I got 8 more minutes. If you have any other questions, concerns, let me know so I can address it. You said Revelation 22 and 15. Let me see if I can get to that. Do I have enough time to address that? Let's see. Hold on. Okay. So this one reads, outside are the dogs and sorcerers and the sexually immoral and murderers and idolaters and everyone who loves and practices falsehoods. Okay. Now, your question has to do with the word dog. Is that what your question is there? Are you referring to the dogs? Because the word canine comes from kind, kuon in the Greek, right? So when you look at that word for dog, it literally means a scavenging canine. During that period of time, they had mentioned wild. Matter of fact, you know what's even better? Let me show you this from this article here. Hold on. I think this will help put things in proper perspective. Because this is referring to something literal and figurative terms. Because what will happen is these scavenging canines will be dogs that are outside. They would not be in the home. So, and again, when you understand culture, you understand this, right? But let me see if I can get this a little bit more precise for you. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me get this. There's an article that talks about dogs, and I think y'all will probably appreciate this. Let me see if I can grab that. I think it's in this. Is it in this one? Yes, here it is. Matter of fact, you know what is even better? Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay. I can't find it right now. I can't find it right now, physically. Because I have... Oh, let me fix that. I have the magazine, but I'm just going to show you it. I'm going to show you it here. Hold on. Let me show it to you. Let me log in. Hold on. I'm going to get it for you real quick. All right. So in a magazine called Biblical Archaeology Review, or BAR for short, they have an article in there called From Pets to Physicians, Dogs in the Biblical World by Justin David Strong. It's a great, excellent read. And what it does is that it explains to you how dogs were perceived during that period of time. And now there's different types of dogs. You have domesticated dogs and you have wild dogs, okay? Now, in the sense of Revelation chapter 22, verse 15, is referring to a scavenging canine, which were the wild dog variety that lived in the outskirts, right, on the fringes of society. And sometimes they would be in society, and those were not the favorable dogs that you wanted to deal with, right? And those dogs would be outside the scope of the community, okay? So people who did these practices that we're reading about in Revelation chapter 22, verse 15, they are considered the outside dogs, or the scavenging canines, right? Because they are those, it says, who practice the magic arts, or sorcerers, sexually immoral, the murderers, the adulterers, and everyone who loves and practices falsehood. So it's attributing individuals who do that being outside the scope of the community. And the same way in which the Torah tells you certain things that is against the mitzvot, against the laws, that you are not to do, otherwise what will happen? You will be cut off from the community. These dogs were cut off from the community. They were wild scavenging canines. So this is taking something literal in the environment, culturally understood within its chronological framework, and applying it figuratively to people who commit these acts, or people who are cut off from the community. Okay? This is what it's talking about. So the gates, or the city, is going to contain the community of people who are following these statute laws and commandments, and who've accepted the testimony of Yeshua and is following in the ministry in his footsteps, are going to be within the city by the gates. But outside of that are going to be the scavenging canines, the ones that live on the fringes of society, which are going to be all of those who practice things that's against Torah, or against the law of the Most High. I hope that begins to answer your question, because I'm not truly sure what you wanted me to exegete from that. Is there something in particular in there that you wanted me to exegete while we have a few minutes left? Thank you, Deborah. I look forward to that. Shoot that my way. All right. Shout out to Don Terry in the building, Dre D in the building, Calvin Riley in the building. When does the new moon start for our feast day? When it is completely dark, or is it the first sign of a slither or fully lit? So Calvin, again, I don't think you are familiar with my channel, and that's fine. The reason why I bring that up is because I want to give you a point of reference, since I'm going to be very brief. Now, my subscription is that the new moon is the full moon, and that is the indicator that we use to count from Abib to Bul, right? Abib to Bul, right? So you have Abib, Ziv, month 3, month 4, month 5, month 6, month 7, month 6, month 7, which would be your Ethani, month 8, which would be your Bul. All your feast days, right, have to be completed within that 8-month period of time. Okay, that's the Sacerdotal Metalogical Model. Okay, so I don't subscribe to the conjunction move. I don't subscribe to the FVC, which is the first visible crescent. I say that those are post-exilic practices that the Israelites adopted when they went into Babylonian captivity, and that the full moon reckoning was what they practiced in the pre-exilic Israelite period. That's my position. Okay, I have a whole series on that. You can definitely go back to this channel. I have a playlist that deals with the lecture on that. Click on that and take a look at that and let me know what you think when we have the next session. Shout out to my brother Azazaya Ban Yahawada in the building. Shabbat Shalom to my brother Mike P, who just joined in after getting off of work. Legend, the DJ. I think I shouted you out already, but I'll give you another shout out. Who else is in here? If you want to shout out, hit 2. Shout out to Hebrew Kingship. So Hebrew Kingship, if you can invite them, send them an invite. Reach out to them, send them an invite. I'll have a discussion with them. I have no problem with that. I think that will be more edifying, more productive than people that just want to debate for the sake of debating. But I think the issue is that a lot of people in the community don't want to deal with taboos because dogma keeps them from engaging taboos. I deal with it head on, and I admit it for what it is. This is why when you have that pre-exilic Israelite cultural mindset, is much different than people have the post-exilic Israelite mindset or the Second Temple Judaism mindset. It's completely different. Completely different. All right, so I think that's it. So I hope y'all enjoyed the show. We hit the 2-hour mark already. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off and try to enjoy the rest of my morning before the sun comes up. And then the Shabbat is here and got to rest. All right. I'm going to thank everybody for joining in. I appreciate that, my brother Dirty 30. KB, yes, I'm familiar with the Aleppo Bible. We have questions on that. Email me or bring it up in the next session. I'm going to try to go live again either today, later on today, Saturday, or tomorrow, Sunday. I'm going to try to get another session in. All right, so y'all stay tuned for that session as well. Shout out to brother Yahudiya in the building. Shalom to you as well. I appreciate that Legend the DJ for the email. Shout out to Henry Campbell in the building. No problem. Thank you, Cash at Hand. Again, like I told y'all, this is my appointed day, right? And that appointed day has to do with this life cycles from my transition into manhood to now. Feasting, again, is cultural when we go back to Job, right? And if anybody does want to donate or give something, you can just look right up top. It gives you the links on where to donate. So that way, anything you want to give to me as a gift is really going to translate into ways that we can help the community. So you can give your donations up there as well. If you want to give it directly to me, you can give it through Cash App, which is $ Divine Prospect. If you want it to go to me. If you want it to go to the KHM organization and other things that we do, you go through the GoFundMe, you go through the PayPal, and those two options go to the organization. The $ Divine Prospect for Cash App goes to me, and the Patreon goes to me for putting out content for the channel, right? So that's what the Patreon is for. The GoFundMe goes towards the initiatives you do for the community. The PayPal also goes there, but the Cash App goes to me. So if you want to send me a gift, right, so that way I can take those funds and do something productive with it, it's mostly going to go to research and development that I share with you guys here. You can definitely send it through Cash App if you want to send me something. It's $ Divine Prospect. Send it right through Cash App. But if you want to give it to an organization, you have those options up there, all right? So, again, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Late at night, it's 3:41 a.m. in the morning. You know how we do. Sometimes we do it late. Sometimes we do it early. But whenever it is, y'all need to hit that bell so you can get that notification. And no matter what you're doing, drop what you're doing. And you got to join in on these sessions because we drop heavy knowledge, heavy information. And I touch on a lot of different things that I hope is beneficial to everyone here. Be sure to hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed, all right, this session. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Share this video everywhere so that other people can benefit from the information as well. And I thank you all for tuning in and for, supporting this channel. It cannot be possible without you guys. So I thank you guys for that. I look forward to seeing you on the next session, which I'm anticipating to be later on today or Sunday. And at the very least, it'll be next Friday. But y'all stay tuned. Y'all tune in. Y'all share this information. And again, I love you guys. Thank y'all for watching. Send me emails, kingdomharmony@gmail.com. You see the link in the description. Well, not the link, but the email address in the description. Email me there. I'll get to your emails as soon as I make my way through of the previous ones. But just know that you're not going to be overlooked. You're not going to be ignored. We're going to get to you, all right? But just realize that we get a lot of influx of emails, so sometimes it may take some time, right? But you can also contact me on other social media platforms. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. And all that information is up there where it says reach me on social media, all right? So I love you, family. I thank all of y'all in here. Y'all are the best. I hope and pray y'all continue to come by, you know what I'm saying, and share and tell other people about this channel so that way they can learn, right? And you get a channel that gives information that's not stagnant, that's not old, that's not rehashed, and this is a lot of original stuff that we touch on that I don't hear going on in the community, and it's simply because I want to fill the gap that's there that a lot of people are not touching on, all right? All right, so much love, family, and stay tuned to our future sessions, and I'll see you again. Peace,